a lot of money. I think that he gives them a certain experience there, opposite of Chandler Jones with Budda Baker in the secondary. They could just score a ton of points. Any team that has DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray is going to be in the game. Now I move on to March Madness brackets. I'll probably have a bigger, sort of more gambling-oriented breakdown. But let's get some of my favorite storylines for March Madness this year. Number one, laughing in IU's face. Kelvin Sampson, the man who killed the IU program for about 5 years. Arguably, the IU program's still dead, in my argument. But Kelvin Sampson and the Houston Cougars opening round game is in Bloomington. I hope he's safe. I hope he has a great time there. He'll probably win 2 games. I have Houston making a run to the Elite Eight. They're a great team defensively. Patrick Ewing at Georgetown. Incredible run in the Big East tournament. One of my favorite runs that I can remember seeing, just because I think Patrick Ewing was kind of on his last leg at Georgetown. He probably would have been fired last year if he wasn't Patrick Ewing. But they go into Madison Square Garden, a place that he has had a ton of success professionally in. And they win the Big East. They were under 500 going into that tournament. They were, I think, second to last in the conference. And they win the Big East, beating, I think they beat Villanova, Seton Hall, and then they beat Creighton in the championship. Right. But yeah, I don't think they're making a big run here in March, but I just like seeing... I enjoy Georgetown being good. I remember, 2007, 2008, they made back-to-back Final Fours. I remember them being that kind of a team that was, annoyingly good, they were big and physical. Obviously, I'm not old enough to remember when they were really, really good, championship-level good. But I remember, I'm trying to think of who the guy's name was. In 2007, it wasn't Patrick Ewing Jr., because he wasn't that good. But those teams were just big, physical. Georgetown has a great, classic basketball uniform. And just seeing Patrick Ewing is just nice. I like Patrick Ewing a lot. I think I like having a tall former player coach just yell at refs, because it's got to be terrifying for referees. Cade Cunningham is in the Illinois bracket, which Brad Underwood left Oklahoma State after 1 year to go to Illinois. Cade Cunningham obviously has no relation to that. But anytime you have the best player in the tournament going against arguably the best team in the tournament in a possible matchup, it's super exciting. I would love for Illinois to make the Sweet 16 against Oklahoma State. Have that matchup, AO versus Cade Cunningham, Kofi Coburn's in that game, Curbelo. I love Illinois. I think Illinois is the favorite to win the national championship. Who will have more teams in the Elite Eight, the Big 12 or the Big 10? Looking at my Elite Eight predictions, it's the Big 12. Wait, tied. That's kind of anticlimactic. But yeah, no, I have it tied between... They each have 2. Huh, that's dumb. But... So that's been the discussion all year. Which conference is better, the Big 12 or the Big 10? And I've always held the belief that it was the Big 12, because I think the top of that conference is better. I think the Big 10 probably has the two of the 3 best teams out of the 2 conferences combined. But I think after that, it's the Big 12 until you get to maybe Ohio State. I think the Big 12 has 4 or 5 teams better than Ohio State, which is the Big 10's 3rd best team, I believe. Who is Cinderella this year? Liberty Flames have a really good chance to win that first game against Virginia. Or not against Virginia. I don't know who Liberty plays. I should probably do my research on this instead of looking it up as I'm talking. But Liberty plays... Oklahoma State, which means I think they have a chance to win. I think if Cade Cunningham has a bad game, Liberty can win that game. They're an efficient offense. University of California, Santa Barbara, they play Creighton, who is just, they won 2 games in the Big East, but they're in a tailspin after what Greg McDermott said. The racial comments that Greg McDermott said, I think he's kind of lost that team. You see Santa Barbara 17-1 his last 18 games. They are, I believe they're like 22-4 overall. 22-4. Really hot. Shoot the three really well. That's kind of the how you kill those big teams. Colgate, who I've really enjoyed watching all year this year, Fort Wayne native, Jack Ferguson's like their sixth man. He's like their second leading scorer. The best three-point shooter on the team. They shoot threes as a team very well. They run the court. They're tempo. They went 14-1 in the Patriot League this year. They play Arkansas, which stinks. I really like Arkansas as well. But I think they can definitely win that game. And I think out of all the 14, 15, 16 seeds, I think Colgate has the best chance to make a run to the Sweet 16. Winthrop, 21-1. The one game they lost, I bet on them. That's my luck. They play Villanova, who's without Connor Gillespie. And Villanova is another team that I think is just done. I think they're bad without Connor Gillespie. I think Winthrop shoots the ball well as well. So Winthrop to win that game. I think Winthrop can maybe go on a little run at the Sweet 16, but nowhere beyond that. And then Loyola Chicago, who's another team that has to. They got screwed. They should have a higher seed than 8 because they have to run into Illinois round 2 if they beat Georgia Tech, who's extremely hot round 1. But I think if they play a slow tempo and Cameron Krutwig, I think can maybe hold Kofi Cockburn. They play a really slow tempo that's going to frustrate teams. That's Liberty, Cal Santa Barbara, Winthrop, Colgate, Loyola. Those are the 5 teams I think have the best chance to be Cinderella this year. Oregon State, Georgetown, they had incredible runs in their conference tournaments. I think they're spent. I think they have bad matchups early on. I think Oregon State's just not that good of a team. I think Georgetown has to go against Colorado, which is a bad matchup. Will a seed in between 16 and 14 win? Oral Roberts, Colgate, and Iona come to mind. Oral Roberts has Nate Abmas, who is the leading scorer in the NCAA this year. They play Ohio State. Oral Roberts shoots, I believe, 86% from the free throw line, which would be the highest mark in NCAA history. They score. They run with tempo. It's super fun. They're the type of team that can get on a run, kind of like Dunk City did or Lehigh did, and they can beat a big team. They haven't played they've played big teams early in the year. They've played, I think, 5 teams that are in the tournament, and they lost each of them by under 10 points. They can put together a good shooting game and beat Ohio State. I don't think they will, but I think they have a great chance. Colgate, we already talked about. Iona with Rick Pitino. I'll never put it past Slick Rick to win. They play an Alabama team that is so hot and cold with the 3. They can be great with the three-pointer. They can be awful with the three-pointer. They've lost games to bad teams here. Alabama has. So I think Iona, Oral Roberts, and Colgate are the 16 to 14 seeds that have the best chance to pull an upset. It's really 2 15s and a 14. My Elite 8, I have Gonzaga versus Iowa, Florida State versus UConn. I think UConn is going to be the big story of this tournament. James Bouknight. I think they're going to make a run to the title game is what I have them. Baylor versus Texas Tech, and Illinois versus Houston, with Gonzaga, UConn, Baylor, and Illinois advancing, and eventually UConn playing Illinois in the championship and Illinois winning. The Indiana University head coaching job is opened after they fired Archie Miller several days ago. Or actually today. Or no, yesterday, because it was during lunch. We got the news yesterday. And it's really made me think, is IU a good job? Because I don't think IU is a good job. They have taken, since Bob Knight left. Bob Knight had IU as a great program. He was obviously not a good person, but he was a good coach. Since then, they've had Mike Davis, who got them to a championship. which they lost convincingly. Kelvin Sampson, who got them to a Sweet 16, I think, and then got the program put on probation. Tom Crean, who got them three Sweet 16s, rebuilt them from the mess that Kelvin Sampson had left, and then promptly got ran out of town. We'll get to that in a second. And then Archie Miller, who was a super highly regarded coach. It was a great hire. And then it wasn't. I think IU ruined Archie Miller. And at this point, if you're the IU program, you've officially blown the lead that Bob Knight had, and you are now behind Purdue as a program. You look at the kids in the state of Indiana, and a guy, I'm going to take a Fort Wayne example, Caleb First from Blackhawk Christian. He had offer from IU, offer from Purdue. He chose to go to Purdue. Purdue's a better program. Matt Painter is a better coach. He's a better program builder. Because for years he has taken the less talented recruits. And I had this discussion earlier on Twitter. I think the guy said Zach Klein from Carroll was a highly rated recruit. The only one I can think of really is Caleb Swanigan, also from Fort Wayne. But everybody else, Matt Painter does not have great recruiting classes. His recruiting classes are normally in the second half of the Big Ten. Whereas, since he's taken over, Kelvin Sampson, Tom Crean, and Archie Miller have all consistently had and signed really good players. Which I don't think I think IU fans ran Tom Crean out of Indiana too early. He was recruiting at a high level. They ran him out of town a year after he won the Big Ten regular season and went to the Sweet 16. He went to 3 Sweet 16, which is more than any IU coach since Bob Knight. He won 2 regular season Big East championships. He had, if you take out the years after Kelvin Sampson, there's about a 4-year period where he was rebuilding a program with probation and scholarship takeaways. In his last 6 years there, he went 138 and 69, 3 Sweet 16s, 63 and 45 in the Big 12, Big 10, and 2 regular season Big 10 titles. And you ran that out of town to get Archie Miller, who has not made a tournament, has not finished high in the Big 10. IU fans are the most. It's like Tennessee football. It's like Dallas Cowboys football. It's like Nebraska football. They're a program that used to be really good. Other programs have stepped up and taken their place. Purdue, Illinois, Kentucky has taken that spot. There's no longer a space for IU to exist as a top program because people have moved in on that space. That's why IU is not going to get a top flight head coach. You're not going to get Scott Drew from Baylor. Why the hell would Scott Drew leave Baylor? Unless he's fired, they're not going to get Brad Stevens. Why would Brad Stevens leave a high-paying job to go to IU, and if he doesn't win, be ran out after 3 years? They're going to end up with Dane Fife, former IPFW coach, current assistant at Michigan State. They're going to end up with some low-level coach, again, because it's not a good job. I'm super excited for March Madness. I'm super excited for this podcast to keep going. We're going to do this every week now. I'm going to eventually figure out how to do the video and audio at the same time. I'm looking for co-hosts. If you're interested, let me know. I'm not going to post it anywhere. I'm going to have it on the end of this podcast, so you have to listen to it all the way through. I want interviews as well. Like, share, subscribe. Bag Talk.